Hello, I'm Len Williams. Welcome to Essex. I'm in the beautiful village of Old Harlow. This village was one of the historic market towns of Essex. It was in this setting, in 1968, that Memorial University founded the Harlow campus as a modest residential base for students to study and work in Britain.
Harlow is a gentle town with its share of English civility. It wears the centuries well in its leafy lanes and quiet streets. Market Square is still today, a far cry from the boisterous past when this was the center of a bustling market town. The only remaining sign of those cacophonous days of trading in livestock and produce is the plethora of public houses. There are shops in Old Harlow that still have a touch of the past, and the facades of houses attest to longevity. In the High Street, closed to traffic as a pedestrian mall, there is modern shopping convenience in an atmosphere of neighborliness that belies the stereotype of English reserve. A short drive through the June greenery of Essex County brings one to the center of Old Harlow's noisy neighbor. This is Harlow Newtown, the first of a number of so-called new towns planned and begun just after World War II. The purpose was to ease the shortage of accommodations caused by the war's destruction, particularly in the East End of London. Heading toward a population of 90,000, Harlow Newtown has all the modern amenities: shopping, sports, theater. They're all here. So is the traditional open-air market, without which England would not be England. Over the past 22 years, residents of Harlow have become familiar with the Newfoundland presence. From this converted malting, a warehouse for the storage of grain used in the making of malt for beer, they go out to work, study, and travel in the UK and throughout Europe. During the past 22 years, more than 1,000 memorial students have had the Harlow experience, and each semester the number grows. There are student teachers experiencing the English school system, and students from other disciplines on work terms in business and industry. Invariably, the Harlow experience sends them home with new insights and a broader vision.
I was looking forward to the opportunity to experience a new system, and so far it's been fantastic.
It's almost like it gives you that little something extra that puts things into perspective.
It made me realize qualities about myself that I didn't think I was capable of doing.
That's what the Harlow experience is all about.
But that experience is more than student teaching or a work term in a different country. It has to do with forming lasting friendships, seeing new places, and absorbing the history of Europe. Each group of students is accompanied by a professor who oversees their work and their travel to make sure they get the maximum benefit from both. For Dr. Les Karaganis, this is his fourth visit in that role.
Well, one of the very important things I think that comes from experience such as this is the opportunity to view another system, in the case of the educational students, another educational system.
I think it's a very different system in the sciences. It's a very process-oriented, very student-centered system, and they're not hung up on the content.
And this comparison and the contrasting that you see, I believe, helps to strengthen your own system, that you realize that some of the things we have in Newfoundland, although different, are not necessarily any worse, and in many cases are better than what you see here.
Where my specialty is French, I thought that I was going to be getting into a progressive system whereby French would be ahead of what it is at home. And when I got to my department, I discovered, wait a minute, this is not progressive education. I'm going to be doing comparative education because it's not as advanced as what it is at home.
So I think that's very important for you and your confidence as teachers when you do get out into the system.
Where I go in, I do a lot of oral work teaching languages. And I almost feel like sometimes my teachers are looking at me as if, is what she's doing right? But I do it anyways. And I find they're very open. But there's always that little bit of hesitation almost, and I kind of almost hesitate before I do it, but they're very open all the same, and they accept new ideas.
The historical sites that you see are also very important, things that you've studied since early childhood. You get to see, you get to experience, and this, I think, is something that is very important.
We've been doing a lot of traveling. We just recently got back from Spain, and there were 17 of us that went on the trip. But 17 of us went, and 17 of us at that time. A lot of us from the regular education group didn't know each other. But when we went to the trip to Spain for that 1 week, we really became really close.
Friendships that you make here will be lasting friendships.
The most memorable part of this whole trip is going to be meeting everybody here and the friends that I've made. And because I knew most of the people in special ed, but I just knew them as classmates. But now I know them as close friends, and I think a lot of us will probably remain friends for a long, long time.
So all of these things, I think, make for a unique experience and something that that you will be able to compare to what happens in Newfoundland, and as I say, something that you will remember. You're also here at a very interesting period when they're bringing in the new national curriculum. Tremendous change is taking place in the educational system here in Britain and have taken place in the last couple of years. And it's exciting to be in on a time of change.
The mere fact of living in residence is a new experience for some of the students. That things run smoothly and people are reasonably content is a credit to the small administrative staff, with offices in this comparatively recent addition to the main building. Betty Bethel is the secretary administrator.
Yes, I see my role here as managing the day-to-day running of the campus, which, because it's small, and because we have a very small administrative staff here, only 4 members, involves me in every aspect of the work, from allocating rooms to the general repair and maintenance of the buildings. I hope that the Maltings provides a clean, comfortable and welcoming home for students. I want it to appear like that when they come back from schools, where they've been all day, or if they've been employed by one of the local industries in the town. I also, because more teaching is carried on here in the Maltings than heretofore, I also hope that it will be a quiet and atmosphere conducive to study. I have to administer the campus to the benefit of all students, and therefore there have to be certain rules and regulations which I expect students to respect. On the other hand, I want students to be happy whilst they're living here, and I want them to feel that their stay in Harlow is worthwhile and time well spent.
The campus is equipped with classroom facilities so that other disciplines such as folklore, geography, history, etc., can offer a range of academic programs. Faculty members who come to supervise each group of students have separate accommodations in St. John's House and Cottage, just down the lane. This building was originally a school and adjoining living space for the headmaster. Renovations left the space of the old school intact, providing interesting accommodations for faculty members like Professor Dennis Mulcahy and his family. On Market Street, just around the corner, a building that used to be a shop has been converted to 2 apartments. When Lord Taylor had his idea for the Harlow campus in the 60s, one of the first persons he went to see was Dr. Ben Hyde Harvey, who is today chairman of the Board of Trustees.
He came to me, and I was director in charge of the new town then, building the new town. And he asked if there was a place. He wanted it in the old part of the town, so they got the combination of new development and old development. And after looking round, he looked at this building, which was an old maltings brewery, you see, which we owned. We lent them the money to enable them to buy it, and we had an awful row with the people at the ministry who wanted us to charge an astronomical rate of interest that we might have got from ordinary interest. And Lord Taylor and I went up and saw the minister, and the minister overruled his officials and agreed the lower rate of interest. We had very good architects. Sir Frederick Gibbard, who was my architect planner for the whole town, he did it, and they love a job where they can muck about with an existing old building, you know, and make it livable in. There's something like 1,000 ex-students now in Newfoundland who have all had experience of Harlow. That must do something to solidify the links which have always existed between Newfoundland and the UK.
Now, can you remember the movie we just see? Remember? In the dining room, we see a movie, right? Can you finish it, Scissors?
Some of the strongest links are forged here in the classroom, where young Newfoundland student teachers are accepted wholeheartedly by the English children. Trudy Miller is from Rashun on the Burin Peninsula, and she's having the experience of a lifetime.
Dr. Mulcahy brought me to my school. The first week we were here. And from the very first day I walked in and met the principal. Like it was this really warm, welcoming. So I thought, great, you know, it's going to be like this for the rest of it. I won't have any problems. And safely to say, it has been the exact same way every day since. My teacher's great, my children are adorable. And they like me, I know, because of the way they interact with me, you know. And it's great. There are certain things I like about this system. One is discipline. The children, I find, are more free, like to do what they want, even though the discipline is good. Like there is I find there's the noise level is louder over here. But it's just a matter of the teacher, you know, talking to the children and telling them, like, to lower the level, and they will, like, with hardly any fuss. Home, I found in the school when, you know, a student spoke out of line, like, the teacher come down on them a lot for it. And I won't do that. I don't think I will. The school system here is very open, and it's not structured at all like the way it is home. But I think I would rather our system as it's more structured. I think when I go back home, like I'll be able to take back the methods they use over here with the methods we have home, which I think both methods together will make me a better teacher.
There'll be a drink.
Terry Sharp from St. John's is a little older than the average Harlow student, and she took a while to get here. She began part-time studies in 1971. In between times, she had a family, worked as a private secretary to help her husband through university, and finally started full-time studies in 1988.
In 1971, I said if I ever stayed in the program, I wanted to go to Harlow. So all these years, I've been saying, I'm going to Harlow if I ever get the chance. So last year, when I was doing some work for Dr. McCann, he kind of urged me on, go on, apply for it. And so I did, and I'm here. I don't know, when you're at university, you never know if you've got that certain something that when you actually take all that theory and go out into the classroom, you're going to be able to use it. And I think coming over here knowing it was a different system, and it would give you confidence. And I said, this is where I want to go. I want to experience something different, see if I can teach there. If I can, then I finally made the right choice. If there's any way somebody can afford to come over here, then I think they should apply for it. I don't think you can ever experience something in life like traveling and the experience you get over here. And it broadens your own outlook and views on life so much more.
Apart from the softer countryside and the accents, you'd be hard put to find much difference between the English schoolyard and one in Newfoundland. While teachers may use different methods in the classroom, children at play are pretty much the same the world over. Titles differ, of course, and while we know the person in charge as the principal, in the English school, he or she is the head teacher, or simply the head. Ian Sutton holds that position in Sumner's school. For the past 10 years, he has had student teachers from the Harlow campus in his classrooms.
When the first students came,
I must be honest and say I knew very, very little about the province, very little about both the personal background of the students that we had and more importantly, the educational background. However, they very, very soon became very much part of the staff of this school, not only because of their willingness to observe our practice, to become thoroughly involved in our practice, but their sense of humour, their willingness to tackle any task that was put in front of them. In fact, the phrase, it's no problem, very, very soon became part of the tradition of Sumners. So, as people, they were superb, and still are, superb ambassadors of the province of Newfoundland. As teachers, I think I can say, without exception, that all of those students that we've had over these years, I would have been pleased to have offered a post in my school.
These ambassadors are having the time of their lives, and when school's out, it's travel time. London's on the doorstep. All of Europe is around the corner. And Trudy Miller is a long way from Rashun and the Burin Peninsula.
London is so fast. Like, I could never believe, unless I was here to experience, like how fast it was. I was walking down one street in London the first weekend I came here, and I could see as many people on that one street as is in my whole community, you know. I'll never forget it as long as I live. I know I won't. I won't want to, for sure. Each morning, every morning I wake up, I thank God for me being over here, being able to be over here and experience all those things.